Hi everyone! The long-awaited Season 8 Fresh Horizons update is finally here, packed with tons of exciting new content for the game. Since there's so much to cover, I'll focus on the hero reworks and balance adjustments in this video. I'll talk about events and other features in the next one. So, without further ado, let's get started. First up, let's dive into the reworked hero, Nuwa. This rework has been highly anticipated, and now it's finally available in this update. Let's take a closer look at her skills. Her passive skill increases her vision range, basic attack range, and skill range, scaling between 10% to 20%. It provides a wider vision range when leveling up. When using her first skill, Nuwa fires energy, damaging enemies in its path and knocking them back. The energy creates a matrix that expands in a cross shape after hitting an enemy, damaging those in its path. Enemies at the center of the cross take extra damage, and the matrix explodes if it touches another matrix. When using second skill, Nuwa creates a matrix that lasts for 3.5 seconds, allowing her to leap over it. She can dash within the matrix to cross walls and terrains easily. If the matrix interacts with one of her other skills, it explodes, damaging and knocking back enemies while creating another explosion. Matrices can fuse up to 2 times, forming a larger matrix that deals extra damage and has extended range based on the distance between the original matrices. Nuwa can store up to 3 matrices, and simultaneous explosions only hit the same target once. Her third skill works same as before, but they added a new passive on the skill. Now Nuwa's magical attack reduces this skill's cast time, and higher magical attack increases its efficiency. Ultimate skill remains the same. While the damage and stats have been adjusted, the skill's mechanics remain unchanged. Nuwa's rework introduces more engaging mechanics, making her skills more impactful and exciting to use. So what do you think of her new rework abilities? Let me know in the comments. The forgotten hero Luara has received some exciting mechanics changes, aimed at making her more versatile and less reliant on critical damage. The developers have removed her old passive, which granted a serpent blade upon securing kills or assists. Instead, they introduced a new mechanic where hitting a target with a serpent blade reduces skill 1's cooldown by 0.15 seconds, though this effect can only trigger once per hit. The button that appeared at 50% attack speed to boost it further has also been removed. Now, for every skill level, the serpent blade's attack speed increases by 5%, while the maximum remains unchanged. Additionally, the basic effects of the serpent blade have been increased by 10%. There are also improvements to her skills. For first skill, the specialty bar now provides clearer visual feedback. When Luara leaps over terrain, the bar stays red and only turns yellow once the leap is complete. Second skill has been enhanced to allow Luara to chain into her basic attack or ultimate while casting, without interrupting the delayed attack of the skill. Overall, these changes are a significant buff for Luara, making her gameplay more fluid and allowing her to build attack speed items instead of being overly reliant on critical damage. Next on the list is Dian Wei. His first skill's enhanced basic attack now has a new effect. When cast without a target, Dian Wei will dash forward a short distance. This allows him to dash freely without needing a target, making it much easier to cross walls and terrains. Additionally, the target lock system has been improved, ensuring Dian Wei dashes toward the nearest unit if his original target is out of range. To balance these changes, his lifesteal stats from Skill 2 have been nerfed. Overall, these adjustments make Dian Wei more mobile and versatile, a solid improvement for his gameplay. Next hero on the list is Lubu. His mechanics have been improved, and his stats received a significant buff. Now, all of his skills deal true damage when enhanced, a change from before when his second skill couldn't apply true damage. Additionally, a new mechanic has been introduced for his unenhanced state. Basic attacks and skills now gain 30% physical pierce when not enhanced. Health restoration from hitting heroes with basic attacks while enhanced has been adjusted. His first skill now has higher base damage in the early game, and its health restoration has been rebalanced. For his second skill, the cooldown is reduced in the late game, but the base damage is slightly nerfed. The shield per stack is buffed in the early game, giving him better survivability early on. Lubu's ultimate has received major upgrades. Its base damage is significantly increased, and health restoration is improved in the early game. The hybrid defense gained within the ring is buffed, and the slowdown effect is stronger in the late game. Overall, these changes make Lubu much stronger in the early game, giving him the tools to dominate right from the start. They've made some exciting changes to Luna's basic attack mechanics. Her basic attack now becomes ranged when she's at a distance from the target, and the chase range for her first basic attack has been increased. This allows her to deal long-range basic attacks while still triggering her passive, making it easier to mark targets from a distance. Additionally, her ultimate's base damage has been increased, giving her even more impact in fights. These changes are a solid buff, enhancing her versatility and effectiveness in both close and ranged combat. Kaiser has received some buffs across his skills, making him a stronger presence on the battlefield. His first skill's base damage has been increased, providing more impact in fights. The slash damage from his second skill has also been buffed, along with an increase in the extra dash damage. These changes make physical damage Kaiser even more threatening, while also benefiting his tank build with the improved base damage on his skills. Overall, a decent buff for Kaiser, adding versatility to his playstyle. Zilong has received a buff in this update, with a slight increase to his second skill's base damage, making him more effective in combat. Consort Yu's passive has also been buffed, with the bolt damage scaling up in the late game, giving her stronger impact as the match progresses. Next hero on the list is Dun. His first skill's base damage has been adjusted, now dealing significantly more damage. However, the scaling has been changed to rely on extra physical attack, meaning the damage boost will scale with physical items. His second skill's cooldown is reduced in the early game, and its base damage has been increased, with the scaling now adjusted in a similar manner to his first skill. For his ultimate, the cooldown is reduced in the late game, and the base damage has been greatly increased. The scaling now depends on 10% extra health, meaning ultimate damage will scale with tanky items. Overall, these changes push Dun to focus more on physical builds, encouraging players to explore different item choices rather than just stacking tank items. Kongming has received some interesting changes in this patch. The developers noted that his second skill was being spammed too much, so they're making some adjustments. His first skill can now stack up to 2 times, allowing you to use it consecutively, which adds more flexibility to his abilities. However, to balance this out, his second skill's stock has been nerfed. It can now only stack up to 2 times, reducing his overall mobility. These changes result in less mobility but higher damage potential for Kongming, balancing out his damage and mobility. Lastly, Prince of Lanling has received some balance and quality of life adjustments in this patch. His first skill's base damage has been buffed in the early game, giving him more power right from the start. The second skill's base damage has been adjusted to scale with both skill level and attack points, making it more consistent and impactful. One of the major improvements is to his stealth mechanic in Skill 4. Players can now gauge Lanling's distance from the target using a new indicator. The speed of the blinking indicator will show how close Lanling is to the target. Faster blinking and a full gauge indicate that Lanling is very close. It's a good adjustment for Lanling. Now the players can panic more when the gauge indicator blinks faster. Now, let's talk about the battlefield changes. Starting from January 9th, a new theme map is being introduced, the Blessed Springtime theme. This update brings 3 new theme modes: Brush Sprite, Rune Blessing, and Emergence. Let's dive into the Brush Sprite theme. In this theme, a new limited time spell called Summon Sprite has been added. This spell summons a brush sprite from a brush, which will follow the advancing minion wave and continuously restore health to nearby allies. When brush sprites come close to each other, they merge, enhancing their stats with a maximum level of 5. It's a fun, new limited-time spell that provides continuous healing for allies within its range, adding a unique layer of strategy and support to the battlefield. They've also made some changes to jungle protection and minion waves. The jungle protection buff has been increased when invading the enemy jungle. The damage dealt to monsters is reduced by an additional 5%, meaning if you invade in the early game, you'll deal 15% less damage to the monsters. This makes it more challenging to steal buffs, so be cautious when attempting to invade the enemy jungle. There have also been adjustments to minion waves after destroying high ground towers. Now, destroying a high ground tower will only upgrade melee minions into super melee minions. Other minion types will not be affected. However, if you destroy all 3 high ground towers, the ranged minions will still be upgraded into super ranged minions. Now let's talk about equipment adjustments. The Knowledge Gem roaming item has had its passive changed. The gold buff from the passive now only applies to the allied hero with the lowest gold. The jungle items Hunting Knife, Gorilla Machete, and Rune Blade have had their magical damage dealt by the passive halved for ranged heroes. Similarly, true damage from Patrol Axe and Giant's Grip is also reduced by half for ranged heroes. However, physical damage from Relentless Blade and Rapacious Bite will now also apply to ranged heroes, though they will only deal half damage. These changes will affect ranged heroes like Fang and Kongming when played as junglers, making them less effective with these items but still able to use them with reduced efficiency. A new universal effect has been added to all second-tier roaming items. If minions die and their gold is not collected by teammates, 50% of the gold will drop on the ground. Up to 450 gold can be collected, and this increases to 600 gold when upgrading to the third-tier roaming item. The available gold is also displayed on the minimap, making it easier for roamer to collect. Additionally, the stats for second and third-tier roaming items have been increased, and a new effect has been added. Now, teammates within a range of 800 will gain 50% of the item's effect, and you can see the effect range by tapping on the passive logo on display. The Redemption roaming item's active skill now grants a lower base shield, but it now provides an additional 10% max health. This makes tankier heroes able to provide more shielding to their teammates. The Radiance roaming item's active skill has been adjusted. The damage from the active skill has been nerfed, but the cooldown reduction when it misses an enemy has been increased, meaning the cooldown will be shorter if no enemy is hit. A new effect has also been added. This skill now temporarily exposes heroes in stealth or hiding in the brush while dealing damage and slowing enemies. This makes it more effective against stealth heroes like Lanling or Guiguzi. Lastly, the Guardian's roaming item's active skill has been adjusted. The initial movement speed has been increased, but it now decays faster. Rally's effect when receiving an enemy attack has also been adjusted. The movement speed now retains 20% when receiving an attack, instead of losing it completely. These changes make roaming items more dynamic and impactful, offering new strategic options for players to explore and use in various situations. And that's all for the balance adjustments. I'll cover the new events and features in my next video, so make sure to subscribe if you're interested. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like and let me know your thoughts about this update in the comments section below. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Being in battle reminds me of my